Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be drawing Pokemon because Pokemon is the greatest game ever created, and with all the new Pokemon Sword and Shield games going on in the Galar region and all the new designs and everything looking all pretty, of course I'm going to be inspired to draw Pokemon. So we're going to do that today. As you can see, I am drawing on a light box right now. I really wanted to give this a more mixed media type of feel rather than just going straight to digital from a sketch. So I have got my light box and I am inking with my fine liners over a sketch on a clean piece of paper. I'm hoping to do this and create a really nice silhouette effect. I'm wondering if you can tell which Pokemon I am drawing and its evolutionary state. Can you tell? Can you? Let me know if you find out in the comments below. I'll probably tell you around the end of the video though. You know what, never mind, I'll just tell you now. I am drawing Morlul, the cute little fairy mushroom Pokemon, as well as its evolution, they're mushroom Pokemon that are fairies and are adorable yet very creepy. I am not going to butcher their names anymore, so I'm just going to call them the pink mushroom Pokemon or the fairy mushroom Pokemon, because I love their design and they remind me of fairy rings and they're cute, and I love mushrooms because mushrooms are cool and also very scary, especially if you eat a poisonous one. So yes, I am going to be drawing these beautiful, beautiful mushroom creatures in a forest, as you can see now, as it comes to light. And it's going to be magical, and I'm going to be adding a little bit more here and there. As you can see, I have drawn the silhouettes of the Morlul Pokemon in a type of circle around what seems to be the top of their evolutionary Pokemon's mushroom head. And there is a reason for this. As I mentioned earlier, there is such a thing called fairy rings, where mushrooms end up growing in the shape of a nice circle, and there has been a lot of lore and legends about them, saying how they are gateways to magical realms, how they can be quite dangerous if you go into them, and I really liked that, like in the Caroline movie, where there's a fairy ring around this wishing well. If you haven't watched the movie, I recommend it. It is adorable and yet so creepy, but the book is scarier, I'll be honest. Anyway, my idea for this Pokemon is that because they are fairies and they are mushrooms and their design is adorable, yet their evolutionary design is creepy, similar to Parasect, because they have dead eyes and have the powers to suffocate you with their spores, or in this case, this one can blind you with its light because it is the illuminating Pokemon, which gives me a really great idea for how I want this illustration of them to look. It's going to be really dark and in a forest, and the little mushroom Pokemon are going to be in a circle, similar to the magical folklore, and they are going to be, in a sense, summoning the evolutionary state to rise up from its slumber and cause chaos to protect their forests, because I have a feeling that all Pokemon, especially the scary looking ones, would definitely want to take over the world and cause chaos if they had the chance. I really want to add a lot of dramatic lighting and beautiful colours into this. I'm not just going to use normal colours for a forest, no. I'm going to make sure that the silhouettes of the Pokemon and of these beautiful bushes and trees are going to centre your attention to the giant mushroom head in the middle. It will kind of like frame it. So you'll be looking dead in the middle, and then your eyes will move upwards toward the trees and then to the silhouettes, and it'll look really pretty. And that way you'd be able to get a feel of what's going on in the illustration. I've finished up all my inking. You can see here I have got it in Photoshop. Magical and glorious, and it will be so pretty but also really creepy, and I'm really excited. So first we start off with the centerpiece, colouring it in with all the base colours, thanks to this reference picture I got on Google. Thank you very much, Google. And I really wanted to see how I could mess with the colours using different layers and different, because of how nice and bright and kind of pastel the colours of the Pokemon are. I didn't want to go with just normal browns and greens for the Pokemon Forest because that's boring. Like, you don't want greens, and it's meant to be magical. And yes, I know green can be a magical colour, but in Pokemon World, this is a world where the Chargestone Cave exists, and I absolutely loved the Chargestone Cave when I played through Black and White. I really want to do an illustration on that as well, so that will be coming up in another video, so stay tuned. So I'm going to add many dark blues, maybe with a hint of very light lilac or purple there mixed in, and I'm going to do that for most of the trees and the grass, so that the Pokemon in the middle can really pop out and it will be the main focus of the illustration. And then I'm going to mess around with a purple and green layer that I have here. Colors would change when they're on top, and obviously because I want the main Pokemon to stand out, I'm going to erase the effects of the two coloured layers I have on top in that specific area, as well as erasing the effect of them in order to grant more lighting. I find this is a really good way to make everything pop. And because I felt like everything was getting a bit too blue, I thought we'd need to like spruce it up a bit, and so we will with this really nice dark pinkish red colour for the bushes underneath the trees. I feel like this really brings out the pinks in the purple and the little mushroom fuzz in the Pokemon. And then in order to give things more depth and contrast, I'm going to use an even darker pinkish red for the bushes behind the bushes, just so you'll be able to get an idea of how deep this forest can go, which is also why I kind of blacked out the rest of the forest behind the trees with some cross-hatching when I was inking the illustration. And after a bit of neatening everything up here and there, around the trees and the bushes. As with my artwork, I am a bit of a neat freak, which is around the trees and the bushes. As with my artwork, I am a bit of a neat freak, which is very irritating for me because no one else can see my mistakes, only I can. And are colouring in the tops of the trees with this really nice dark purple. I made it just pinkish enough so that it would contrast well with the bushes, and I find the purple brings out the top part of the Pokemon in the center. I wanted to try something different where the image would kind of break out of the rectangular mold that I drew it in. And I really liked the idea, so I decided to try it with the black bushes underneath as well, and it turns out really good. It feels as though the Pokemon is more centralized, and you're getting a more in-depth view of where I want you to look in the illustration. And I find when drawing, if you have something specific you want the viewer to look at, it's always really good to, try and point them in the direction as fast as you can, or as subtly as you can. Now, I was getting kind of bored with how the colours were being laid out after hours of looking at this, so I decided that I'm going to mess around a bit with the colours of the 2 layers I've had, as well as like their settings like colour dodge and multiply and all that technical editing stuff that no one really wants to hear about. We just want to see the Pokemon, and I can fully agree to that. So I really like how it turned out. It looks like there's a lot more depth, and I ended up using the lighting by erasing parts of the other layers in order to get more of an effect from the light that's going to be coming off of the giant mushroom Pokemon in the center. This I found to be a little tricky here and there because of how I ended up laying out the bushes, and also because of the giant vines that the Morlulls are standing on. I also wanted to make sure that the trees above had some lighting to them, but not a lot. It didn't really look all that great when I tried doing it, so I went back to the bushes and tried seeing if there were ways I could improve them. And that's what I find good when you're drawing. If you're stuck on something, like really super stuck, take a break and go do something else. Clear your head, do something different. Then you can come back to it nice and refreshed. I had to take a few breaks when doing this one as well. And it really helped me out. And as you can see here, I am adding lighting around the mushroom. This way I can show how there is more light coming from the mushroom. However, this is just like one layer of how I'm going to portray light. I also wanted to soften it up a bit, so I tried using the smudge tool. It didn't work 100%, but I did like how it looked on the actual tree branches compared to on the grass. So I had to fiddle with that a bit in order to get it as I liked. Because this is meant to be glowing and mystical light coming from a giant mushroom fairy. You don't want it to be like hard, stiff light. You want it to flow around magically, kind of smudged here and there. I was trying to come up with ways on how I can use different brushes as well as the textures I have on Photoshop in order to make the glowing kind of spores seem as though they are sprouting off of the mushroom. And this will add more to the lighting I did previously with the other layers. I really like how this started off, and I wanted to see how it would affect the other little mushrooms around it. Because I'd made them as silhouettes, I didn't really add any of a detail. So I thought maybe their silhouettes could just have like a little streak of light going around them. Not showing too much, but also showing that yes, they are being affected by the light because they are close enough to get hit by the light, unlike the black background of the forest. Also, mixing up and changing layers really helped out. I've realised I have far too many brushes in Photoshop and I can't seem to find all the ones I liked, which was annoying. I'm going to have to organise them one day. I say one day because I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So after this I had to add more shading in order to get more depth when it came to all the light and spores illuminating off of the Pokemon. And I really like how this worked. I feel as though it grants more of a visual effect on how dark and light the forest is and where it's all coming from and how the forest itself is being affected by all the spores and the light. I really liked this. Also, let me know what your favourite Pokemon is, because I'm really curious. These are one of my favourite Pokemon because I love mushrooms and their design is adorable. And the lore of them just reminds me of fairy rings and magic, and it's adorable yet creepy, and that is something I really love and enjoy. So let me know what favourite Pokemon is yours, and I plan to be doing a lot more of these because Pokemon is probably the best way I can release my artistic energy And videos are like a reset button for me. I can just enjoy myself and have fun, draw what I like, not have to worry about my part-time job or my master's course at university, which I should probably start working, but I'm procrastinating by doing videos or finding freelance work, which, yeah, adult stuff. Being an adult is hard, but we have to do it. I also want to apologize if you can hear any snoring in the background. My dog has fallen asleep behind me and I can't move my chair because he's leaning up against my chair. So if you hear any snoring, I do apologize. And this is the final illustration. You can see more in my social medias on Instagram and Twitter and my Facebook page at Carlystration, and I'm really tempted to make this into a poster or a sticker on Redbubble. Let me know if you would like that. That would be really interesting to see how it would turn out. Yeah, and I will see you in my next video. Might be a Pokemon one, might not be. Will probably be a Pokemon one because I like Pokemon. And I am getting a tad obsessed with the new game because the new game is based in, well, it's the Galar region, but the Galar region is based off of, you know, the United Kingdom, which is where I am from. The land of tea and